Hey, I'm Alex Radical from Board Game Co, and this is Two Back and Not to Back, where we're going to go through a variety of crowdfunding campaigns, talk about the pledges, the games, the stretch goals, all of that and more. And yes, it has been like five weeks since we did the last one of these, 4 weeks. It's been a while, because that's what happens in the year. We take a break and we film other videos instead, but we are back. Granted, today's episode is probably pretty short. We have like 7 campaigns to go through, not a lot, but as usual, we will have our Cult of the Now, we will have our campaigns, we will have our upcoming next week, we'll have our picks of the week, all of that and more, links and timestamps to everything down below. And with that, let's go ahead and start off with our Cult of the Now. As much as we're about to go over a bunch of crowdfunding campaigns, there are always games you can get now that you don't have to wait for, you don't have to wonder about the reviews for, you don't have to worry about the price point of these all-in pledges, although I will say today's video does have a lot of reasonably priced campaign games. We'll get into, not campaign like crowdfunding campaign games to go over. Either way, we'll get to those soon enough. But today for our Cult of the Now, we have Video Game Champion from Game Nerds for $44. You can check out a bunch of reviews for this game. You can get it pretty quickly, not waiting a year, and you don't have to pay for $100 for some sort of a starting pledge, let alone the all-in. I haven't actually played Video Game Champion. I've heard good things about it, but I haven't played it, so this is not a recommendation for the game, just a recommendation of a game that is hot that you can get your hands on now if you want to without waiting. And with that, we're going to go ahead and dive into starting off with our board game adjacent over here with Batman Gotham City Chronicles RPG, the Skyline Edition. This is coming to you from Monolith Board Games. They are putting out the newest version of the Batman RPG, as well as a ton of miniatures. That's a beautiful shot. All those miniatures in the bat symbol, that's a nice shot over there. But basically, I'm not going to go heavily into this because I don't really cover RPGs as much, but loosely, we'll cover it loosely over here. This is a Batman RPG, supposedly accessible to newcomers and veterans alike, thanks to the intelligent and flexible system over here. It's going to be giving you the Skyline Edition, as well as the accessories box, and as well as a variety of ways to get those, both as new and returning backers. So over here, if we scroll into the pledges, we have the all-in pledge, £200 for basically everything you want over here. We have the veteran pledge, which gives you the new things for the Skyline Edition, which I believe gives you the slipcase and the GM screens for the game are available for €25. The Sidekick pledge for €129, and the Skyline pledge for €149. That's going to be either the accessories or alternatively the base set over here. And again, if you add those up, that's what you're getting for $199. So it's a crazy discount for all of that if you want all of that. And the accessories packs over here has all the various miniatures. So all this stuff, let me see if I can scroll past through them again, because all the extras, all the miniatures, all the things that, like, you know, this stuff can be used in a variety of ways, especially if you're a collector of miniatures in general. It's not a bad price, but for sure if you want it for the RPG. And so that's kind of what we have over here as far as the game systems. I can't talk much about those. I don't really have that knowledge. So we're going to move on to now starting off with our crowdfunding. Although I will say this first campaign, don't get your hopes up if you are in the US or Canada, because this is not shipping to the US or Canada. So don't get your hopes up for this. This is honestly a little bit of a frustrating campaign. Like, we'll get into it. We'll get into it. We have Nova Roma from Queen Games over here. We have 100 backers, €7,893 currently raised for the new edition that's being done of Nova Roma, Stan Kronowski's game, through Queen Games. And the part that's frustrating is there are improvements to this game in a variety of ways. Some general, we'll get to the improvements. They do a good job showcasing them. That kind of makes me want this version of the game, but this version of the game isn't shipping to the US or Canada, and I'm sure a lot of you have that same frustration. There's also an additional frustration that they're not doing an upgrade pack, which means even if you are international and can get this game, you can't get just an upgrade pack because of various compatibility differences, so they're not really doing that. They're like, hey, here's a new version, here's extra stuff. Buy it all again, or don't, and also you can't get it in the US or Canada. So, like, I'm not blaming anyone. I'm not blaming Stan, not blaming Queen Games, not blaming backers. It's one of those things that's just a generally frustrating experience. And if you're like, why aren't you blaming Queen Games? Because life is complicated and hard, and you can't always make everyone happy, especially depending on volume and numbers counts and all that. So the licensing issue of where they're shipping to, that's just a limitation based on the agreement they've made. And then as far as the why not make an upgrade pack, sometimes it's not worth it financially, even though like it is one of those things that's frustrating for backers. I don't expect every creator to always have to address every backer's future needs based around something they bought once. It's complicated. I wish they were, but the fact that they're not, it's hard to blame them, especially with the limited availability, limited region availability makes those numbers even worse as far as justifying it. Either way, Nova Roma is a fantastic Euro game. In case you are able to buy this, Nova Roma is a fantastic Euro game that has a interesting worker placement action selection mechanism that really makes the game stand out. The rest of it is just a good Euro game as far as how it all comes together, but the central worker placement mechanism is probably the thing that makes this most distinguished. And again, not to diminish the rest of it, but Euro games are all kinds of just do this, do that, and get a point. Do this, and do this, and get a point. Move your ship here, put your meeple there, get your area control there, build your deck there, and get points. Now, granted, that's diminishing all Euro games into just this hodgepodge of point gathering, but my point is that all the things work work well in Nova Roma. It's a good game, I recommend it. I think they had my review on the page somewhere for the original edition, but again, I think the central thing that makes this stand out as different and unique is that worker placement mechanism, which is a very fun little puzzle as far as trying to maximize where your workers go and the actions you can take, and also the randomization of the way the actions place out make this a different game every time you play it. So it's a very, very satisfying experience. I definitely do recommend it. But past that, as far as the differences and additions, because they do have a great job showing you those differences, they show you the amount of unique illustrations compared to the original, the different player boards and how pieces move up using those tokens from Marrakesh. They're using their Marrakesh little wooden bits over there. They have a machine that manufactures those bits. They are getting every last cent out of that machine. They have the various meeples with multicolor stickers over here, so giving you these new artwork options. What I found fascinating is all these things are upgrades, and then they have the first player marker is a downgrade, which is like this weird, is like this one thing that's a downgrade, which feels like such a weird downgrade to me. I don't know why. Like, I would have just done the thick wooden marker. Again, no blame. I have no clue what the reasons are. It just feels like all these things are like, this is better, this is better, this is better. Oh, by the way, this one thing, we'll make that worse. Why not? Why not? Anyways, it's a weird choice. We have cardboard contracts instead of cards and stuff, and then we have new artwork, which that's at least like the same. It's different, but it's like not better or worse. So either way, that's what we got over here. As far as pledge levels actually seem very reasonably priced. The only problem is, again, shipping is not really available to US and Canada, so not really relevant to any of you. Well, not any of you, to a lot of you. €45 for the Nova Roma Multilingual Edition, which again seems like a very reasonable price for the game. We have €80 for Nova Roma plus Kingdom Builder, which puts Kingdom Builder at a €35 price point, which for that, like, I mean, I love Kingdom Builder. If you can pick that up, if you can pick up this bundle over here, I recommend that bundle. That's two very good games for a very reasonable price point, including shipping once all said and done. And then we have more and more different combinations of it, deluxe editions and non-deluxe editions for you to get. I'm not going to comment on every single one of them. As far as holding its value, I'm not going to comment on that either, because honestly, it's hard for me to know. This is like, I don't know the international market as well. All my holding its value is based on how things go in the US market, where I can buy and sell things and see the market. I don't know what it's like internationally, so I'm just gonna say, hey, here's a campaign. Here are games that seem to be very reasonably priced. I don't know what your secondhand market is like. Enjoy it if you can, and also, sorry to the US and Canadian backers this time around. Moving on to Hyperstar Run, 1,687 backers, $45,000 raised from Button Shy Games and Scott Alms, part of their Simply Solo line, this time mimicking a video game little playthrough. Basically, the idea of Hyperstar Run is you have these cards over here. You can see the artwork on the cards. You have these monsters you're trying to fight, and you have a hand of cards with their action symbols on them you're going to be utilizing to fight these monsters. As you defeat various cards, you're going to earn the action symbol on the top left over here. You're also going to have the abilities of the cards on the bottom, and you're using those, that limited economy effectively, to try to work your way through all the cards. If you've played Rove, it kind of has a touch of the design approach from Rove, a touch of it. Like, you use cards, you defeat cards, you get more cards, you use that to defeat the whole row of whatever you need to go through. It's got elements. It is not Rove, to be very clear, but it's got small elements of Rove in it. Past that, you're basically going through, one of the things that makes the game stand out is you have 4 runs. So as you go through this video game, you lose a life, and then you restart and you continue, but with the knowledge of that video game system. So you have a bit more knowledge as far as what things are going to play out, and so you can try to plan and utilize that knowledge towards your advantage as you go through it. So it's a little interesting puzzle that has a degree of learning, a degree of resource optimization. Looks like a fun little optimization puzzle. I'm intrigued. I haven't played it. I am intrigued. Past that, we have the expansions, as they usually do. We have the base expansion, the free expansion as part of the campaign, which is this equipment drop. You get 4 equipment cards to be added to your game. Outside of that, you have the final bosses available for an extra $2 on the pledge levels. The final bosses gives you 3 boss cards, double-sided. One goes into the starting side, into your little row, and then after that becomes a boss you have to defeat, giving you an additional challenge. Something that helps you and something that hurts you, and that's going to be what you have for Hyperstar Run. There are additional add-ons for, oh wait, no, I passed it over here. Also available, here we go. We have the Nice Cuppa Pets over here. Nice Cuppa is a solo game of trying to arrange your cards and flip them all. I'll be covering in a future video, but you're basically trying to flip cards and utilize the various abilities in front of you. And we have 2 new expansions for it, a Nice Cuppa Pets and a Nice Cuppa Something Sweet are 2 new expansions available for it, available in a little wallet over here. As far as the main pledge levels are going to be the printer plays. Then we have Hyperstar Run for $12, which includes the first expansion, and we have the additional final bosses for $2 more, and then we have a small Simply Solo collection for $30, and then the Nice Cuppa stuff is all going to be available as an add-on. If you scroll to the add-on section, you can see the various add-ons available from all the stuff in the Simply Solo line. I still haven't played Royal Limited. I need to do that. I have a few of these I've played I haven't covered, a few of these I've played and I have covered. Either way, that's not the point of this video. Anyways, what's the point over here? Should you back it, should you not? Will it hold its value? Same thing I always say for button shy games. In general, all the stuff, crowdfunding is usually the best and easiest way to get your hands on them. Most of these don't hold their value. It's the price point of having small games with small price points. Usually these are things that you get because you're interested in, and this is a good place to get your hands on it, but it's likely one that won't hold its value so much as just being the best place to get it if you want to get your hands on it in general. Moving on, we have Nexus Alone in Your Room expansion from Devers Publishing. 206 backers, $14,000 raised. This is a solo expansion to Nexus, which has been on crowdfunding several times with all the content and their pre-painted deluxe giant edition of a arena combat kind of game. And this is giving you a solo game that also can be played with their legacy edition as well. So if you wanted to play Nexus and you want to play it solo, now you can with the Alone in Your Room expansion. That's the main premise of this campaign. Yes, of course, you can get everything else, all the previously available stuff. You can get $40 for the Lonely Lannister over here. You get 3D Hobbyist Digital Bundle for $25, the Starter Bundle, including the solo game, for $160, the catch-up bundle, the board game bundle, the roleplay bundle, and the all-in bundle, all giving you more and more for this arena combat game. And that's what it is. Nexus is basically a giant arena combat, rotating saw blades, traps, death, destruction, all of that, now available for you to play by yourself in case you wanted to. That's basically what we have here. It's a new expansion to existing content for the Nexus game system. Nexus system is highly rated. It's one of those games that has a passionate fan base and it's well rated, but not a huge audience. Like, there's not a ton of people who, like, this game doesn't have, like, the access that some of these big box games can sometimes have, but it is well rated by those who have, so take that as you will as far as figuring out whether this is a game for you or not. Next up from there, we have the micro hero Hercules over here. We have 3,600 backers, $35,000 raised at an average of around $10 a backer. I'm saying that for a reason, we'll get to that soon. 17 days to go from Graham's Edition over here, who primarily are probably best known for their Clash of Deck. I think it was called Clash of Deck. I'm pretty sure Clash of Decks, yeah. They had 3 seasons of Clash of Decks, plus 1 or 2 other games as well. And Clash of Decks is one they had kind of a pay-what-you-want model, which they're doing very similarly over here. This is pay-what-you-want for this solo deck builder game, and stretch goals have made it so there's also a co-op mode if you have 2 decks, so we'll get to that. Anyways, this is a solo deck building game. You're going through the challenges of Hercules over here, one at a time, trying to reduce their life points and escalating the challenges as you build up and improve your deck. You basically have these cards with icons in them. You're trying to use them to approach and attack the challenge while trying to preserve your own health points, and then slowly building out your deck as you go, as you tackle the various challenges one by one. It looks fairly straightforward. They have like an 8-minute video of like how to play over here. Check this video out, put it on 2x speed, and in 4 minutes you'll know how to play the game. It's pretty straightforward and looks kind of appealing. Past that over here, they are tackling it with a pay-what-you-want option, and they're very specific about this. I want to go down to the part they talk about it. Pay what you want. They talk about this over here. You may feel uneasy about pay what you want because, like, am I paying too much, too little? What am I doing? How? They are very clear here, and I wouldn't say this if not for the fact that they're saying it. They basically say, hey, if your mental options are, let's say you're somebody who wants to pay $3, okay? Let's say you only want to pay $3 for the game, and you could theoretically do less than that. But let's say you want to pay $3 for the game, but you're like, that feels like too little, so I'm not going to. They're pretty clear here that they would rather you pay $3 than pass on the campaign. Meaning if you feel guilty you're not paying enough, don't worry about it. We'd rather you just go ahead and pay what you want and feel content with that. Now, I did mention the average price right now. Currently, it does look like the average is around $10 per backer. That doesn't mean you have to pay $10 per backer. If you feel you're getting a $10 game out of this, great, do so. It's also worth noting, by the way, shipping is incredibly cheap because I, like you, have seen too many free items in life where they're kidding you on the shipping. Hey, look at this thing on the internet. It's free. Shipping's only $29.99. And you're like, that is not a free item. You just change where everything is, but you got me invested now, whatever. I get frustrated with people on the internet. But the shipping over here is €2 per package. So this is not a high price per package. Try to figure out the value you're getting from this, and if you are interested in it, and if you're somebody who wants to pay $10 for this or whatever it is, great. You want to pay $20, help support other backers, great. If you are sitting there and thinking it's only worth €2 to me plus the €2 for shipping, I'm going to pay €4 for it. That feels like too little. I'm going to walk away. They themselves say, don't. Just do that. Go ahead and do it. It's okay. We don't want you to feel guilty because they're saying it. I'm saying it. Otherwise I would feel guilty. I am the exact person who I'm either going to pay like the average price, €10, or I'll be like, it's not. I'm only going to do €4. I won't. I feel bad about that. I am that person, which is why I'm giving you this message today. Anyways, that's what we have over here. It's a solo deck building game. Oh, stretch goals. Stretch goals over here. Let's talk about that. Stretch goals, slow amount of stretch goals being unlocked. The one that's very relevant over here, 2-player cooperative mode is added. So you do need 2 copies of the game, but there is a 2-player co-op mode in case you wanted that. There's other things as well, new expansions, mini expansion, all these things are being added and improved as well. But I do think, especially as it's being advertised as a solo game, I want to specifically call out that cooperative mode in case you don't want a solo game, but you do want a cooperative mode. And that is what we have for Micro Heroes Hercules over here. As far as will it hold its value, will it not? I mean, this is one of those games you probably won't be able to sell it for much, but also it's going going to cost you like as little as €4. So I mean, yes, I guess it's got to be worth €4, right? It's not your traditional system over here, but I think it's worth €4. Moving on, not that it's €4 officially, but you know what I mean. Anyways, moving on over here, we have Lost Lumina over here from Jonda Games. 860 backers, $25,000 raised, 23 days to go. This is a 2-player game coming to you from Jonda Games that focuses on multi-use cards with great artwork, by the way. We like the artwork over here. But anyways, past that, you're using multi-use cards. You're either using the cards for their action points or for their abilities in combat. You see, you're going to be moving around on this shared board, trying to either gain area control by the end of the game or completely eliminate the opposing player. You're going to be using action points to utilize, well, a bunch of things, but moving around on the board. And then whenever you have a combat, you're going to be using abilities on cards to try to figure out who's going to win the combat, from rolling dice, choosing the highest dice, adding it to your various workers, your various people, your adventurers, whatever you want to call them, and then trying to see who's going to win and ultimately destroy the other players in this 2-player multi-use card drafting system. And by the card drafting in general, card drafting, area control, 2 players with a lot of cards. That's kind of what we got going on over here. As far as the pledge levels, we have the general leader pledge level, which is the base game, plus a free Kurak promo card. And again, free is relative. It's a promo card for backing on a crowdfunding campaign. And then we have the hero pledge, which is going to give you the playmat as well. And then we have the savior pledge, which is the playmat and sleeves. Those are the various options for 19, well, if it's going to use US dollars, for $24, $33, and $37 respectively. As far as shipping over here, shipping is going to matter. If we scroll on shipping's going to run you in the US around $6 for either of those pledges, which puts you at a $30 game for this. Basically a $30 game to get the base option, 24 plus 6, you're looking at $30 to back this. As far as should you back it, should you not, will hold its value. Practically speaking, I think it's less likely to hold its value. Jonda Games does have retail relationships, and this game is going to show up in retail for less than the current price point plus shipping. That said, it's also reasonably priced enough that, especially if you do want that extra promo, because that's going to be the thing to track down, like you are probably talking about paying a few dollars more to get that promo card. Now, is it worth it? Is it going to hold its value? Is it going to hold its value? I don't think so. Is it worth it to you? It may well be worth it to you, especially if you enjoy the game. Not having to track down a separate promo for $10 elsewhere and just having it here, that might be worth it. So again, it kind of falls into small box game, shipping plus the cost of the game. Usually these things tend to be a little harder. The harsh reality of crowdfunding is because of shipping, the more expensive a game gets, the more likely it is to hold its value. The cheaper a game is, the more shipping takes up a portion of that, and the less likely it is to hold its value. Those are just the harsh realities. No offense to creators, just the way things work with numbers. But again, that's what we have over here. It does look appealing. I am very interested in the game, but as far as if you want to back it and again support the creator, get the promo card, it's not that expensive. But as far as if you're looking for this is the cheapest way to get your hands in it, probably down the road at retail is the cheapest way to get your hands in it. Moving on, we have Iron Core from Magister Games. €36,000 raised, 200 backers. Iron Core is a post-apocalyptic sandbox game in which you're going to be wandering around trying to earn as much prestige, I believe it's called. Is it renown, prestige? I can't remember the exact term for the points you're getting. But you're trying to earn those points in the game, either 30 or 50 depending on the game length, as you wander around on the sandbox board, slowly exploring various tiles, dealing with your allegiance to the corrupt factions, all while being space pirates, trying to upgrade your crew, upgrade your ship, get more and more things to basically help you in this adventure, take down the various monsters that are going to spawn around the board, trying to trade at the various shops in order to get as many points as possible, again with all that renown, and just trying to be the person who wins at the end of the experience. There are going to be a bunch of pledge levels. We're going to come back to this graphic over here, because honestly I think the rewards were a little harder to get a sense of what's going on, but the rewards we have over here are €150 for the collector's edition, €75 for the navigators, captain's pledge is €140, captain's pledge all in is $180, and Iron Core collector's all in is $120. Now normally when I click on these things you can see what's included over here, but sometimes these things were not showing me what's included properly because you'd have the exact same thing on 2 different options, which is why you kind of do need to go into the pledge contents to get a look at what you're getting here. And I do recommend this. The nice part is it's easy to read across over here, so you can see that all of these things are the same until you get to the over 300 card tiles, and then you have 5 ship miniatures, and suddenly you have D6 dice on the navigators and captains, but you have 16 custom plastic D6 dice on the collectors. So they kind of have that aspect breaking down what you're getting extra at each tier. The captain's tier is going to be adding the 5th player expansion, the miniatures expansion, and the Neo Free Mat. The collectors is going to have the 16 plastic dice, the deluxe-fied resources, the all-unlocked stretch goals, the 5th player expansion, the miniature expansion, and the 1 big box to fit them all in the collectors. And then the all-in kind of shows you that as well. So again, you do want to pay attention to this breakdown because it'll give you the clearer breakdown as far as what is available at each pledge level. Shipping is not going to be cheap, unfortunately. It's a bigger box. Shipping's coming in at roughly 28 euro for the base pledge over here to the USA, going all the way up to 39 euro for all of it. Which kind of brings us to the should you back, should you not, will hold its value. As much as I just said, bigger box games do a better job of holding their value, that also is case by case. This is expensive enough, and coming from a newer creator, that it's less likely this one will hold its value. It's less likely you'll find someone willing to pay that 200 euro to get what you backed a while ago, and the 200 backers, while it is funded and doing well enough, it's not that massive amount of adoption you might see in some crowdfunding campaigns. And usually, like I regularly say on this video series, that lack of a huge demand doing crowdfunding also tends to translate to a lack of huge demand down the road as well. So the price point combined with the lower back count does make me think this is less likely to hold its value. Moving on, and lastly, I told you it's a short video today, lastly we have Foxpaw. Foxpaw, the magical worker placement game from Godot Games. This is a highly interactive, crunchy worker placement game, 1 to 4 players. I'm just reading their text over here. But this is a worker placement game inspired by Harry Potter and possibly other magical works. I say possibly because they have down here, where was it? They have inspiration. They have a section on inspiration saying, hey, here are the things we were inspired by. And Harry Potter's last, but like Harry Potter's got to be first, right? I mean, it's not like last, but it's the last one shown there. Either way, this is clearly Harry Potter inspired, possibly other things as well. I'm not trying to diminish that, but we got the wands, we got the dueling wizards, you got your house that you're gonna be sorted into. You can choose to challenge that and break tradition with your family and go into a different house. You're going to have duels, you're going to have various tournaments, you're going to have teachers and pets, and I don't remember if there are owls. I don't remember if there are any owl beast cards, but there are owls miniatures and stuff like that. You're going to have spells you're learning. You're going to be able to manipulate the teachers, go out at night, have fun, all these various things. You have wands and brooms. Again, this is definitely very much Harry Potter inspired, but the general idea is across 5 rounds of play, you're going to be competing in 3 tournaments in rounds 2, 4, and 5. You're going to be competing in the tournaments, and you have to try to prep yourself to try to make sure you're well geared to win points in those tournaments, although you will be getting points from other places as well. It's not just that. There's a lot of ways you're getting points, and ultimately it's worker placement. You're placing your workers out, including these various magical beasts you're going to get, trying to manage the state of the board, trying to manage the spells, trying to dismiss the teachers, trying to dismiss spells at times. Some of these will be getting various points of corruption that will have a cost you at the end of the game if you're the most corrupt, so to speak, but that's basically what's going on in this magical worker placement Harry Potter inspired game. That's what we got going on over here from Jonda Games. Not Jonda Games, I don't know that, from Godot Games. The pledge levels. Pledge levels are going to come in at the principal pledge for 95 euro. That's kind of the all-in over here. It's going to give you the Foxpaw, it's going to give you the Lost Roots, the expansion stretch goals, and core game stretch goals. And the main thing you're getting over here is getting base game expansion, resource bags, and double-sided game mat. Okay, and then plus stretch goals as well. That's what you're getting at this pledge level. At the Fox pledge on its own, you're getting the base game and the stretch goals for 45 euro. And then at the Phoenix pledge, you're getting base game and expansion and both associated stretch goals, but not the playmat or the resource bags. But you're getting that for 30 euro less. So if the playmat and resource bags are worth 30 euro to you, that answers that question. And if it's not, well, that answers that question as well. And then we have the Waiting for Godot, which is all gone. This is basically one of those, like, kind of like the chip theory pledge. I can't remember what they call it. The strategist pledge, where you can kind of get all future pledges and all that. They're doing that as well. They had limited 10, and 10 people jumped in on it. So kudos to you, 10, for getting that. Outside of that, we have the double-sided game mat over here and the resource bags. These are available for 33 euro separately, which means you are saving 3 euro. If you get it as part of that all-in pledge, as part of the principal pledge. We have the prototype over here, the deluxe all-in. So for 500 euro, you get the prototype copy now, so you get it sooner, plus you're getting the deluxe all-in later, so that's an option for 500 euro. And then past that, the additional options over here, including Among Cultists all-in, last of the final print run for 120 euro over here if you wanted the Among Cultists. And then past that, we got all the various stretch goals, mostly representing new cards and things like that added to the game. There's thicker meeples over here, so there's a few upgrade stuff, linen finish on small cards, but for the most part, there's going to be more various cards. So mischief cards, prophecies, magical beasts, heavier wands. Well, heavier wands is not a card thing. That's what we got as far as the tons of stretch goals that are being added throughout the campaign. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? Hard to say on this. This done definitely does seem to be popular. I believe this is going to be Godot's game. Is it the most popular? They had, maybe not the most popular, it's one of the most popular campaigns, depends on where it ends up. It might end up as their most popular campaign, but definitely amongst the most popular, so kudos to them for that. And that does mean that in general, again, that demand aspect, that can translate to things, and the shipping wasn't so unreasonable either, so once you factor in the price of shipping over here, 15 euro, 17 euro, 20 euro for the game, plus the price of the game itself, again, it's not a crazy price point either. So I could see this one holding its value. It is hard to say. Their games have been more middle tier as far as, getting most of the money back, but not necessarily all of it, and that can translate here, but because this is more popular, there is always that question mark. My instinct is that this is one that you might be looking at losing shipping, but getting most of your money back if you choose to back this one. And that is basically what we have for our campaigns today, which means it's time for the picks of the month. Again, a short video today. Picks of the month, picks of the week. It's been so long since I did this, I now think of it as picks of the month. It is arguably picks of the month to an extent, if you count the last month as opposed to the month of January. So either way, picks of the week. Picks of the week, as usual, I do two over here. I do the game that is most likely to hold its value, as well as my personal interest pick of the week. The game that is most likely to hold its value is an interesting choice this week. I almost did, in terms of like literally holding its value, Foxpaw could be eligible for it, but because it does fall into that medium range, I decided to go with Micro Hero. Micro Hero over here from Hercules, Micro Hero Hercules, because of the pay what you want model, even though this isn't one that you can probably turn around and sell for very much, it's probably the kind of game you get, and if you don't like it, you gift it, or you do it, trade it, I don't know, do what you want with it. But the sheer price point accessibility on this one means I am going to, in a odd twist, give it the pick of the week as far as the value pick of the week. Again, usually the value pick of the week is this is the best way to get your hands on the game, and I do think this is probably the best way to get your hands on the game. This is the one, if you are interested in getting this game at a reasonable price point, you could pay kind of whatever you want. So you can get it for as little as, I think, €3 is like the minimum threshold, which has got to be a value pick of the week at €3, even though you might choose to pay more than that. So an interesting pick of the week. Wasn't sure about it, but that's what we're going to go with. And as far as my personal interest pick of the week, we're going to go with Lost Lumina over here. Lost Lumina does seem very intriguing to me. I like multi-use cards, I like the great art, I like the decisions based around a two-player area control drafting game. We're trying to figure out where to use your resources at what point. Very intrigued by Lost Lumina over here. I'm intrigued. I am intrigued by Lost Lumina. Could well be my favorite genre game. We'll see. I still have Pioneer Rails. I still have that one. I like that one. That's a fun one. Either way, Light & General put out very good games, but I am most intrigued by Lost Lumina from all the games that they have put out to date so far. I haven't played it yet. This is intriguedness, not a rating of the game. Anyways, that is everything we have this week. That is all the stuff, which means I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. I hope you enjoy your week and have an excellent time. Welcome back to crowdfunding. We'll probably be back next week. As long as the crowdfunding campaigns keep coming, we'll be here every Monday. And as always, and until next time, I hope you have a good one. I don't know if I've ever told you guys about the time I climbed Mount Everest, but I made it up.